Tonight is the start of Throwback weekend for NASCAR at Darlington Raceway, with the Craftsman Truck Series taking to the track. And in today's video, we're mainly going to be going over some of the best throwback paint schemes for each series. But starting things off, the big news story to watch will be on Sunday with the return of Ryan Newman, who's coming back for the first time since 2021, driving for Rick Ware Racing and the first of a handful of events for the team. And this is huge for Rick Ware Racing. This is probably the most prominent driver that they've gotten in the car. And to get a guy of the caliber of Ryan Newman, to me, shows the seriousness of this team wanting to take the next step, getting more competitive, because Newman is a very smart guy and is going to be able to bring a lot of feedback to this team. He hasn't driven the next-gen car yet, so it may take some time to get his feet up under him with that. But still, the knowledge, when Newman is able to get a handle on it, the feedback he can bring, it's going to mean the world to Rick Ware Racing. Newman, he's a competitive driver, but with this team, I wouldn't look past maybe, a top 25 run, especially in his first race, would be really good. But it's going to be great to see him back at the track. And the team's even running a throwback to his 2002 first career win at New Hampshire. So keep an eye out for Ryan Newman on the track and see how his progress goes throughout the race day. Before we move on to our next topic, let me tell you about our friends over at Hunt to Harvest. Now, if you're wanting to update and upgrade your hunting apparel, head over to hunttoharvest.com and check out their spring 2023 collection, where they have new styles in for turkey hunters and different types of fishing. Now, they still have plenty of hats, especially in the Richardson 112 style, and their mystery box special is still going on. So do not hesitate to click on that link below and support this great brand who know hunting is about spending time with loved ones, providing for your family through the harvest, and giving thanks to the one who created all things big and small. And when you go over there and go to checkout, be sure to enter that promo code RADNEY18923 to get an additional 10% off on your purchase at checkout. But getting into the heart of this video is the NASCAR Throwback Weekend. And starting things off with tonight's Craftsman Truck Series race, some honorable mentions, some drivers with some solid throwback paint schemes is Jake Garcia running a throwback to Buckshot Jones' Cup car, the 00 Crown Fiber, able to match up the sponsor, which we're seeing quite a bit this year in throwback and all the throwback paint schemes, which is a huge plus. Crown Fiber's back on the car. Apparently, Jake Garcia made the comment and posted on social media that Buckshot Jones helped him a lot early in his career. So Jake able to throw it back to a guy he obviously looks up to. And also Nick Sanchez, who's throwing back to another racing legend across all sorts of different series, Mario Andretti, driving the same paint scheme that Mario won the Daytona 500 with, the red and blue 11 car, this time with Nick Sanchez as number 2 on the side. And then you have Nice Motorsports. They have a solid throwback lineup with both their trucks. The honorable mention one to me is Carson Hocevar, who's throwing it back to Dale Jarrett. Not the usual white and brown yellow primary paint scheme that we saw Jarrett run throughout the season, but a special paint scheme that Jarrett run, the all brown truck with the flames on it. It's great to see UPS coming back, not just for this team, but also Ross Chastain's, which we will get to here in a few minutes. Solid throwback truck here, but the best of the Nice Motorsports throwback paint schemes to me is Lawless Allen and his Adam Petty tribute scheme. We saw this paint scheme a few years ago with Bubba Wallace when he was still with Richard Petty's team, running the bright green, red, yellow, purple spree car that Adam Petty made famous. It was a solid paint scheme there. What sets this one apart to me is the number, and it's amazing the little things that make the difference. But Lawless Allen drives number 45, the same number Adam Petty drove in the ARCA Series, Busch Series, Cup Series, and has the same number style as that 45 car. So a huge plus there. This is one of my favorite trucks that we're going to get to see on the track. But to me, the overall team with the best throwback paint schemes is Tricon Garage. They're throwing it back to the defunct race team, Red Horse Racing, a team that was very popular among fans. They had some great seasons, mainly with drivers like Timothy Peters and Todd Bodine. And Tricon's throwing it back to them. You see Corey Heim, he is running a throwback to Timothy Peters' truck in the 11 truck with the basic red and white paint scheme. And then also his teammate Taylor Gray is throwing it back to Todd Bodine's time with the team. And it is a little bit weird that we're seeing a number swap going on here. You have Corey Heim, who drives the number 11 truck, throwing it back to Timothy Peters, who drove the 17, whereas you have Taylor Gray, who drives the 17 truck, throwing it back to the number 11 with Todd Bodine. I don't know if it was a sponsorship deal with this one, since the red and the white, it works better with Safe Light sponsorship and Taylor Gray, his throwback paint scheme works better with dead-on tools. Still, it's a solid paint scheme for this team. You also have Dean Thompson running a throwback to Erman Quiroga in his blue 77 truck. Also, Bubba Wallace and Tanner Gray, they are not throwing it back to any driver in particular from Red Horse Racing's time, but they still are running the block number. So a great throwback and tribute to this team that is no longer in the sport. Now, moving on to the Xfinity Series, which to me this year is stacked with some great throwback paint schemes. And some of the honorable mentions we have for them, you have Anthony Alfredo, who in his 78 car for BJ McLeod Motorsports, throwing it back to Dale Jr.'s Nationwide car. And they're running the same number style that Dale Jr. was running when he was with Hendrick Motorsports. And the Dude White sponsorship works really good with this car, with the color scheme. So a solid paint scheme there for Anthony Alfredo. Also, another solid throwback you have is Sam Mayer. Junior Motorsports normally knocks it out of the park with these throwback schemes. This year is no different. The best one out of their group to me, though, belongs to Sam Mayer, who's thrown it back to Kurt Busch's Sharpie car. And what really makes this car stand out to me is even though Sharpie Rubbermaid, they're not going to be on the car as they were Kurt Busch's sponsor, it still accelerates Sam Mayer's sponsor. They work around the paint scheme itself. You have the block, the red block on the back corner panel of the car, and Accelerate has put their logo in it instead of just their basic white branding, and that helps enhance the throwback scheme to me. So a solid paint scheme there for Sam Mayer, and also Brett Moffitt, who's throwing it back to Tim Richmond's Folgers car, the red car with the gold numbers, the black outline. This is a solid paint scheme. What I'm interested to see most from it is the number itself. Tim Richmond, you have the chrome number on it, and that is definitely back popular in the NASCAR garage. And I hope when they unload this car at Darlington, I haven't seen any real pictures of it, but hopefully it's got the chrome numbers as well. One missed opportunity with this car, though, is the tire itself. Whereas you had Tim running the chrome, silver chrome rims, Brett Moffitt running the solid black. It would have been really cool to see them pull out the chrome for this weekend's paint scheme, but still a solid tribute to Tim Richmond as well. But the best ones in the Xfinity garage, and like I said, there's quite a few. You have a few cars doing throwbacks to Kevin Harvick. Some of them I didn't mention, but the main ones that I feel are the best, you have Blaine Perkins driving for our Motorsports this weekend, and this 02 car will be running a tribute to Kevin Harvick's Payday car when he was with Richard Childress Racing. You have Payday back on the car this weekend. Again, anytime you can pull these sponsors back into the sport, it is a huge win for Throwback Weekend. And this is a solid paint scheme and a solid tribute to Kevin Harvick. And then you have Riley Herbst, who is driving a tribute car for Ken Block, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year. And you had to think, with Monster Energy being such a big part of Ken Block's career, having so many cars sponsored throughout the NASCAR series, that eventually a tribute car was going to be shown. And this is the perfect weekend to do it. And what I like about this car, it is so different on a NASCAR team, running a monster sponsorship than we've seen. Normally it's the plain black paint scheme with the green M on the hood, plain white number with the green outline. This tribute scheme, you have the orange numbers, some splashes of orange on the car as well as white on the sides. It's a really good standout paint scheme, and look for Riley Herbst to really shine with this car. But the team with the best throwback in the Xfinity garage goes to Richard Childress Racing. They are throwing it back to Kevin Harvick as well. His 2 championship seasons with him. You have Austin Hill running what was the Coast Guard car, now still sponsored by Bennett this weekend. And again, Bennett playing along with it. They have the orange outline for their branding. But probably my favorite out of the Richard Childress lineup is Sheldon Creed, just because this paint scheme to me is a very historic paint scheme for the Xfinity Series. It's, won championships with drivers like Dale Earnhardt Jr., had Jeff Green, had Kevin Harvick. A lot of big name drivers have driven the blue AC Delco car. Now, even though AC Delco isn't on the car this weekend, it's still a solid throwback. I love seeing this paint scheme on the track. And again, it's great to see Richard Childress Racing do this. Kevin Harvick didn't leave on the best of terms with the team. There were some issues there, but Kevin did a lot for Richard Childress Racing. He drove for him, came into a tough spot, filling in after Dale Earnhardt's unfortunate passing back in 2001, and really carried this team to 2 wins that year, 1 win the next. And at times when Richard Childress Racing wasn't their most competitive, he put the team on his shoulders and was still keeping them pretty solid in contention, still getting them in victory lane. So it's a nice tribute there to their former driver, Kevin Harvick. Now for Sunday's Cup race, you have some solid throwbacks, some honorable mentions. Harrison Burton throwing it back to his dad, Jeff Burton's car, the XI Batteries car that Jeff made famous back in the mid to late 90s, the pink and the black paint scheme. What really, to me, doesn't work with this car, and we see it on a lot of throwbacks in the Cup Series, is the number placement. Back when Jeff was driving this car, the gray swoop was built around the number. Now with the numbers pushed forward, it just makes it look uneven and like something needs to be adjusted on it. But still a solid throwback. It's great to see Harrison be able to drive his dad's paint scheme, one I'm sure Jeff is proud to see him drive. And another driver that's running a throwback to his dad is Chase Elliott, who's throwing it back to his dad's time at Evernham Motorsports, Bill Elliott. And growing up a Bill Elliott fan myself, it's great to see this paint scheme back on the track. About the time that I was able to really pay attention and understand what was going on week in and week out and the battles on the track was about this time that Bill was in the red 9 car for Evernham. So it's great to see this 9 back out there. I love the style of the 9, the solid red. You know, sometimes simple makes you stand out on your own. And to me, this paint scheme falls under the same line as Furniture Row Racing's plain black 78 car. It just stands out. I love the basic look of it. It's just a clean look. But the best cars that will be on that track for Throwback Weekend belong to Trackhouse Racing. You have Ross Chastain throwing it back to Dale Jarrett's UPS car, the primary white, brown, yellow car. UPS back on the track in the Cup Series, back on the hood of this car. A solid throwback here. And then you have Ross Chastain's teammate, Daniel Suarez, who is throwing it back to Ricky Rudd's time in the Quaker State car. And this one is my favorite paint scheme, the one I'm looking forward to seeing most on the track, just because to see Quaker State back on this car in the green paint scheme. The 99 is the same style as the 26 that Ricky Rudd ran. And the fact that Justin Marks was able to bring in not one but 2 former sponsors of this sport in a primary role is pretty incredible. It really shows the smarts that he has on the business side of things as well as the competitive side. Trackhouse Racing is one of the hot rising teams, and Justin Marks has played the biggest role of all in it, and it'll be great to see all these throwback schemes on the track over the weekend. And that'll wrap up this episode. Thank y'all for joining me and watching along. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you will be in the know when our new videos drop, as well as our weekly fantasy shorts. I hope everyone has a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. Enjoy the paint schemes that we will see on the track, and we will be back next week to go over all the action from Sunday's race at Darlington Raceway.